welcome back to another episode of Elevate with Evani. This is episode 3. I'm really excited to be here because today I have a very special guest with me. It is Kizzy Michelle, my brand developer. She is 100% awesome and amazing, and I love her to pieces. If you guys are familiar with my life coaching practice, I have a life coaching practice called Spiritual Selah, and she was the one who helped me develop that website. It is absolutely gorgeous. And Kizzy, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, guys. I am Kizzy. I go by Kizzy Michelle. And yes, as Evani said, we're a brand developer. I help women develop their brands. And I guess we'll talk more about Spiritual Selah and how you're doing since we worked on your project together.
Yeah. It honestly, her stuff is amazing. Like, if you don't go see me and my stuff, go check out her and her stuff. Where can we find you? Where can we support you?
Well, I have 2 websites because yes, I do believe in websites still. If you don't have a website, then you probably should. But you can find me at kizzymichelle.com, and you can also find me at Developer, spelled Diva, Loper. DIVALOPHER, Developer.
Yes, and all her information will be down below in the description box if you're watching this. So, what got you started with brand developing? What got you started with that journey?
Well, I want to say 2008, 2009, I purchased my first camera. It was a Canon T2i. Ooh. Yeah, and I still have it.
Nice.
Nice. Even though it's all beaten up and everything. But I actually bought my first camera to do YouTube videos for natural hair. I had just cut off my relaxed hair, and I was like, yeah, I want to be Kimmy Tube, and all the people that I didn't know about you at the time.
Similar journey.
So I did one video and ended up falling in love with photography. Just taking pictures, and I really enjoyed how that felt. And so at first I was just taking pictures. I made myself a photographer at one of my aunt's weddings. Even though she had a photographer there, I was behind the photographers taking pictures.
Okay.
At that time I was just taking pictures of anything that I enjoyed taking pictures of. But later on I just realized, no, weddings are not for me. I don't want to do weddings. But over time, people started coming to me, like friends, family. They would say, hey, Kizzy, can you take a picture? Can you do a website for me? So people just started gravitating towards me to take pictures and to do a website for them. So that kind of started the journey. I spent a lot of time teaching myself. I like to say that I'm self-taught, and to me, self-taught means you're taking the initiative without someone telling you to go learn something.
Correct, yeah.
And I don't, diminish being self-taught, because really you're spending a lot of time learning your craft, learning how to take pictures and learning how to design websites and everything like that. So at the time, I was learning, and I was doing it for people, family, friends that I knew. But there was an event that transpired in my life where it made me take it a little bit more serious. So I don't want to put the cart before the horse. So.
Well, no, that sounds amazing, because my journey was similar. I mean, I started off on YouTube. I got my Canon T5i, which also I still have and still works.
So it came after the T2i.
Yeah, But yeah, I got it. I started doing my natural hair videos and everything. And that's so funny that we both started off similarly.
I know.
Yeah, with YouTube, because it just opened up a lot of other doors for me that led into things that I never would have imagined. Because I think for me, it was the introduction to entrepreneurship. And I, being a first generation entrepreneur, was I don't know what I'm doing. I just know I'm having fun. It's a hobby. And then eventually it escalated into a job.
The fun part.
Right.
Experimenting.
Exactly. So what was that process like for you? Do you think that there was an escalation into it being a full-time gig, or are you still part-time? What does that look like?
Well, for me, it's my I call it a professional side hustle, because I do have a full-time job. I'm at a different stage in my life, Evani, than you are. I'm a mom, and, I'm a little older and
Still fabulous. Who's counting?
And I have responsibilities, but, so I am I think at this point in my life, I've always been a proponent of keeping your job and build your side hustle. But I think over time, people have kind of diminished the term side hustle, like you don't take your side hustle serious.
Yeah.
You know, so I do take my side hustle serious. You know, I have a LLC, a EIN number. I'm filing taxes, and you know, probably gonna have to pay taxes this year. You know, so it's a profession. I like to call it a professional side hustle. And I think I've always had like one foot in and one foot out because of the responsibilities that I've had, you know, and so it's just me. I don't have anyone else to rely on, you know, or fall back on. So a full-time job is my fallback.
Right.
But I think the career that I have now helps me, both my job and my career, and my side hustle. I think they complement each other because the things that I do on either end are skills that I need for both adventures, you know. So I need to be able to write. I don't take pictures, but they could use me. I'm trying to tell them.
Slides card across the table.
Being a writer, working on websites, you know, so my career and my professional side hustles do complement each other. So, but I would say, like, if I could go back, Ebony, that I would focus on being more consistent because, you know, watching you and how your career has flourished, you know, when you don't have as much responsibilities, I think that is the time for you to take risk and to build your brand. Because it does get a little bit harder when you get older and you have to balance, you know, managing, you know, your bills and your mortgage. And if you're married and if you have kids, you know, that's a whole nother, you know, element of responsibilities entrepreneurs like myself have to think about. I just can't jump, like Steve Harvey says.
Right. Take the leap. It doesn't go.
Because I'll be like, Kayla, we might have to move out next month. So it's always been a balancing act for me. And, you know, there, you know, yes, you know, though I am a Libra at heart, balance is not realistic. And I've just learned to over time accept that, you know, Kizzy, you're going to have to get better at managing both until you don't have to manage both, if that's what you choose to do.
Right. And that's so important. I'm glad you brought that up because it's a work-life harmony. At least that's what I found. And so there's going to be height and there's going to be depth, but actual balance might be impossible. So stop reaching and striving towards unrealistic things. It's like, it's going to be okay. If you're in a high right now, cool, ride it out. If you're in a low right now, cool, ride it out. But don't try to strive for some unrealistic expectation because I think the pressure and the perfectionism in me and if all of that gets triggered, it's like, then I end up not getting as far or not doing as much because I'm out here striving towards something that doesn't exist.
Unrealistic, And I just find communicating with people like, hey, you know, this is going to be our schedule, but it may change because, you know, something may come up on your end, something may come up on my end, and we may have to move some things around. So I just find that just being, you know, just communicating, being realistic about what you can and can't deliver in the time frame that you can deliver it.
Exactly.
So, so that's how, I don't know if I answered your question.
No, but that's powerful. It's powerful. She's giving advice. You guys listen, the things. Because I know for me, even with my journey now, it's like, what would I tell my younger self? Like different things I would tell my younger self. More recently, I've kind of tried to realign myself spiritually because that has been the one huge determining factor of how I'm going to move forward. I think when I was younger, like in my 20s, it was this race, hustle, grind, move fast, you know, exponential growth. I need to get there yesterday. I don't know what's happening, you know, and I would just hold myself again to unrealistic expectations. I ended up burning out. And so now it's not just about the destination. Like, yes, do I want to get from point A to point B, but how do you want to get there? And that matters so much more now.
It's more about the journey because sometimes we might arrive to that destination and we get there and we're like, this is what I was striving to get.
You're right. It's like, I don't even like this. I don't even want this. Because you realize the actual destination or even like the high of getting what you want is like very temporary, like almost like barely exists in itself. It'll last for like a couple of days, you know, and then you're just on the next level where you have more responsibility and more burden and more things to have to try and manage. And it's like, actually, I'm not good. Like I didn't do all the things that I should have done, like from Jump Street up to now. And so it's still, everything is still a lot shakier, but like I have more responsibility. So it's like I need to get a way like to move forward where I'm in my full integrity. And like integrity not meaning like integrity, like not like a upright, righteous, standing person, but integrity, like wholeness. It's like if I'm gonna keep moving forward, I need to move forward in wholeness. So these past few years for me have been my Selah moments.
Yes, love it.
Yeah. Have been my Selah moment. Pause on purpose, because I needed to know that when I move forward, it's not gonna fall apart again. Yes. And I just wanted to know if you've had any experiences like that, or if you've ever had to take a step back.
Pause right now.
Okay.
So the end of the year, beginning of the year, that's when a lot of us entrepreneurs always think about, okay, we reflect on last year and how we did, how our brand did. Yes, we start to grade ourselves, and then as the new year approaches, okay, this is what I want to do. I want to do this, a new adventure here. I'm going to launch this. And I have so many ideas, and I know what my problem is. Yeah. It's all about execution. But this month of March, instead of me going, I guess, full-fledged and trying to do everything, I'm not doing anything. And I learned that from you. Sometimes, you do need to take a pause. So I literally just took a pause. I've been watching TV.
Yeah, do it, girl. Feed the creative part, Like if you're constantly creating, I also think it's like, no, I need to be fed by something, not constantly put out.
And so I did, I kind of took an unplanned pause, and and so I just started asking myself, okay, Kizzy, what's going on with you? So, and I just, answer my own self. Just I know what's going on with me, and but I think just pausing and just reflecting and just thinking right now will allow me to move forward and keep going forward.
Right.
But I'm okay with pausing. I don't know if I was talking to you. I think, when we were coming in, I think Maya said something profound along the lines of not having a job made me hustle more. So I was kind of wondering, like, okay, so am I being too relaxed, too lenient with myself? Do I need to pressure myself? And honestly, I don't work well under pressure. I don't like the pressure.
No, me neither.
So I've just been taking some time, and just, and I figured out that I need to do in lieu of my job and my professional side hustle, those are money generating activities that I'm doing. I need something that's going to relax me for me. And so, I picked up I recently just picked it up like yesterday. Well, the tool that I needed came yesterday, so I invested in a nice little iPad Pro. And I say I'm not going to put any social media, only Pinterest will be on this tablet. No Facebook, no Instagram, because this is not the tool for that. I have my phone and I have my computer. This is just something for me to be creative, and this is just something for me. And so now, I'm going to get into digital planning so that I can balance, I'm going to balance, the job, the professional side hustle, and making time for myself to create something that's just for me and allow, another creative outlet for me.
Right.
And so while I've been thinking, I haven't really been posting on social media, and I think a part of me feels guilty. Like, Kizzy, your audience needs to see you so they can build trust. And I, wholeheartedly believe in that, but I need to build trust within myself.
Right, first, before I don't need your like, okay, I need my like. Yes. I need to like me and what I do by myself without anybody judging or watching or anything. Yeah.
And I firmly believe in when I do post, that it's something worth posting.
That quality over quantity. Yeah.
Something, somebody, not everybody obviously, but somebody will find useful. Just finding that balance. Yeah. And so, and as you mentioned earlier, one of the things that, the point that I've arrived to now is that I realized I was doing a lot of things, thinking I'm doing these things on my own, but I didn't seek God first in doing them. So, I would just get up and start my day, check social media, get to work, and, not really seeking any guidance from above. Like, okay, God, what should I do today? How should I go about this? So recently, recently I think, and I've grown up in church all my life. I spent a lot of time in church when I was younger, and
Same, yeah.
and when I went to college, I still made sure that I attended church. But as I've gotten older, I've kind of steered away from attending church.
Like a centralized church experience. Yeah.
And and I have my reasons. I am looking, for a church home that I feel that's going to feed me. But right now, I just attend church online.
Yeah, no, same. And it's more about being intentional too, because like even going back to what you were saying earlier, finding something for you and not necessarily it needing to be like posted for other people or even monetized. It's like I just need
A creative outlet for me to express myself.
Exactly, where there is no pressure there, so I can just be who I am and it doesn't matter if I mess up or whatever.
Nobody, I guess there's no one to judge, or I don't, so this is also an exercise for me not to be hard on myself. So Kizzy, you're starting something new. Sit in its ugliness.
Yeah, the first stages, whatever, the awkwardness, yes, all of it.
I'm looking forward to the growth and the progression over time. It's not like something I have to get done I have to know how to do by next month or at the end of the year.
Right.
This is
There's
something.
no rush.
Yeah, no rush.
Yeah, and I think that internalized rush too. It's like, yes, there might have been some external pressure, especially from the algorithms and everything, but the internalized pressure, it's like, I don't think I realized how much I internalized it and put it on myself until I stopped. And it was like, whoa. Yeah, it's worse because it's like, how do I get it out now? So that's where the pause on purpose comes from. And then with this spiritual alignment thing too, for me, it's been more about slow living and being intentional. It's like, yes, get the spiritual alignment. Yes, do the virtual church, find a church home, all those things. But what is God talking about with your life specifically? Because I know we're all put on this earth to do something. I don't know what it is, but like the more I like continue to grow and like progress in life, the more I'm like, okay, this is what I would like refined, or God will illuminate a different part of yourself that it's like, okay, hey, look, you can do this too, or you can move forward with this. So it's really making space and room for all sides of myself.
I think that is why I needed to rebuild the spiritual foundation in my life, because there's so many things that I want to do. And I need guidance. I need direction. I need God to tell me, in what black and white, Kizzy, you might want to do this, but do this, because, I've just learned that, I know what I want, and thank God for giving us free will. But I also want to know what His will is for my life, because I've heard that His desires are way better than mine. Even though I think I might want A, He has B for me, and B is much better than I can ever imagine. So I think that was what was missing in this entrepreneurship journey. Just doing things without spiritual guidance. But I do make more of an effort now than I've done in the past. To start my day first with God. My sister gave me a journal actually years ago, clear blank pages, but it's a year journal, and it guides you through reading the Bible for the year. So I've taken the pressure off myself trying to read the Bible in a year. I was like, okay, I'm going to follow this, but but it's been such a joy to read the Bible, because I'm not a Bible scholar, but and I always think
very few are
because none of us was here back then.
Right.
But just reading the stories and understanding the principles that God is trying to communicate to us through. So I do, and I spend at least an hour. I'm reading the Bible. Actually, I'm listening to an audio on the website.
That is so funny. Me too. Like listening to it and following along. It's like
you can pick any version of the Bible.
Yes.
James,
They can have accents if you want them to, like all types of stuff. I'm like, this is so crazy, because literally earlier this year I was convicted to read the Bible, not just listen to the preachers and whatever they're preaching. You read it for yourself, and there's so much context that it's like I didn't get, because you pick out which pieces. It's like, no, read it through. What is the whole story? And I think that too has helped my internal narrative and my spiritual alignment,
and how to communicate to God.
Exactly.
And how He's communicating to me.
Yeah, like knowing His voice, understanding this is the voice of God, not my voice. It's like It's like, which one is it? Is it me or is it you today? You know, like, but that it all matters and it all can kind of like guide you towards things that are more illuminating, at least for your soul. And it just guides you into more refinement and things that aren't so detrimental. Because like you were saying, I was doing it without God. It's like, you know, I'll go do something and then pray for God to bless it later.
That gets you in trouble.
It does.
Yeah, I find myself in situations that, you know, had I just, you know, sought guidance from him first, you know, then I probably wouldn't have done some of the things. And not necessarily as it relates to business, just anything in my life, because anything outside of business impacts, you know, me as a person, because it's all me.
Exactly.
You know, so I really do enjoy reading. And then the journal has a summary at the top, the scriptures that I should read or listen to for the day. And then there's blank lines at the bottom. And so then I go in, instead of me trying to be all spiritual, I just sit and I say, okay, God, what are you saying to me? What's my takeaways? Yes. So then I'll journal that. And that becomes my prayer, you know, because I was having a conversation with someone and I was like, I don't know how to pray. And so when you know, later on I thought about me saying, I don't know how to pray, is because I don't read the word. So how can you pray and
develop that skill? Yeah.
And you don't know when you're not, you know, speaking a language or reading the language, you know, the scripture that God has left with us. So I came off of that journey to, you know, not really doing not posting, I guess, as much on social media. But I think I'm okay, you know, with not appearing every day.
Right, yeah, and it is like an unbecoming process of trying to like, it's like, am I okay with, and then again, that comparison being the thief of joy, it's like you actually have to step all the way away. It's like, okay, maybe I'm not posting, but I'm still watching everybody else that does post, and then it reinforces that like pressure and internal narrative that I should be doing something more. It's like, nope, actually, I'm not gonna compare anybody else's path. This is mine, this is the race set in front of me, and right now I need to read the Bible, I need to do my devotions, I need to hear from God on what to do next, because I think the older I get and the more, I guess, because the world just got so tumultuous, it's like, I don't know if it was always this bad or if it just got this bad.
It got this bad.
Yeah, I was like, the more that I pay attention to that, it's like, oh no, I need somewhere I can go that is like steadfast and unmovable.
Right, you need a foundation. You need an anchor. You need an anchor, and so you know that has become my anchor. Because you know I was just telling my son on the way here. Well, no, I was telling Shree. You know, I talked to so many people today, I can't even remember. But I was just telling. She was asking me about cable, and I said, because she still has cable. I said, no, you know, canceling cable. I stopped watching the news because the news was making me feel bad, and I thought I was going to miss CNN and MSNBC, but I really don't.
Right. Those. Oh my God, news cycles. Cap, like big cap on all news cycles, because they know what they're doing. You know, like there's actually a lot of news you could be reporting on that you're not, and it's like because you're picking and choosing the negative things, it's like, no, I'm not gonna subject my nervous system to whatever you want to trigger me on today. No, thank you.
That's something to a creative. Like if you're constantly feeding, you know, the problems of the world, and I don't want to ignore or dismiss that we have some serious issues.
Correct. I don't want to be uninformed.
Right. I just want to monitor how much I'm consuming, you know, something that actually hurts, you know, hurts my spirit, you know, and then, you know, ask God, okay, what can I do? You know, how, you know, what role can I play, and what cause, you know, should I give my attention to and participate in and get involved in? Absolutely. You know, because I think, you know, when you're in a creative space, you can only watch so much news every day.
No, that's so true, because it does impact you, and I think that takes a lot of self-awareness to realize, like, hey, this hurts.
It has worked for me, and I think, you know, and I'm just realizing now that I've replaced that with more, you know, getting in alignment spiritually with God, and I realize that this is probably going to be a long journey because there's so much, you know, to know, and I also realize that, you know, I don't know everything, and I won't know everything. And now I am forced to live by faith rather than, you know, having all the answers.
Right, or at least thinking that they're out there. Like I was thinking the answers are out there somewhere. I could just find them and get them and meet this person and do that thing and take this class and pick up that book. And it's like, nope, God. Girl, if you don't sit down and ask God.
He can save you from reading that book.
Okay. like the Holy Spirit will teach you things. It's like, girl, let go. It's not out there. The answers are not outside of yourself.
And I mean, and I know some people don't believe in the quote unquote the Holy Spirit, but you have an inner voice.
Yes, absolutely. That intuition, whatever you want to call it. Yeah.
Which I've ignored so many times.
Me too. Overrided it, like pushed it off. You know, it's like, when did I get to the point that I was continually ignoring myself? Like, where did I pick that up from?
And that's the other thing I got to get over, being so modest.
Yeah, like walk in your fullness.
But not in an arrogant way.
Right, no. In all facets of yourself, like just showing up as your full self. And the other thing for me too was also, because I'm a fire sign, Sagittarius. It's like, burn the old me down and move forward in the new me. And it's like, nope, like you can be this and that. It's like two things can be true at once. And it was embracing all sides and all faces. And yeah, which took me a while though, because it's like, no, I'm new, I'm different, I'm beyond that. And it's like, but that is still a part of you. So stop trying to distance yourself from yourself and just make room for who you are completely.
Because it's me, you know, it is who I am and it is who you are.
Yeah, that radical acceptance journey, that was powerful for me because it's like, okay, you know what? I think that is what I've been doing.
I think sitting for a while has helped me with that. Like, Kizzy, you know, yes, you have multiple interests, you like multiple things. So what? My time of seeking more, getting in spiritual alignment with God, you know, has helped me accept myself,
Absolutely.
you know, the imperfections that make me me.
Yeah,
you know,
and
instead of trying to hide them and push them away or ignore them.
Yeah, or even villainize them. Villainizing my sensitivity to things. It's like, if I am sensitive to it, like that's not a bad thing. But I think the world had kind of convinced me that like being a sensitive person is a bad thing. And it's like, it's actually not. It's a superpower, but you have to embrace it and be in your whole self, you know?
And I've learned that the things that awaken you like that or make you feel a certain way are considered your values, you know? And so, you know, and in branding, you know, we go through the whole process of understanding what our values are. You know, those things that you are sensitive to, that matter to you, that's your brand value, you know, and that's something not to be ignored. So, you know, what can you know, another person on the outside looking in can relate. Hey, she's sensitive. I like that she doesn't ignore her sensitivity. You know, so that makes me like her. That makes me trust her, and she accepts it, and she's helping me accept, you know, that I'm a sensitive person as well. So that's, you know, drawing the people that we want to work with, and you know, I would want to draw those people to me. You know, I would want to draw people who think that Black lives do matter. And you know, you may not believe in abortion, but yes, I do think women should have a right to choose. You know, so you know, I want to draw, you know, those people who have the same values that I have, because as we share, you know, if I'm working with you and we share the same values, then I think our relationship would be in alignment with each other. You know, while we try to accomplish our goals
and be genuine too, because I know there's people I've forced myself or overridden my intuition to work with, like different brands or different sponsors, and it's like I knew it after, when it was all said and done, it was like, you know what, I shouldn't have done that.
They didn't have the same values that you had.
It wasn't in alignment, and when I forced myself to do it anyway, it's like, ugh. Like this drained me, and I have to pay attention to that after effect, where it's like, okay, how do I move in a more aligned way? How do I flow with people who are like-minded? And not that you always have to do that, but it is just a self-awareness, a revelation on the inside, like, hey.
And you know, so I think I'm just kind of getting this, Evani, but I admire people who get it when they're young.
You're still young? Who's counting? Who is counting?
It's something I need to work on, but because I'm counting every day.
No, don't age yourself. Don't age yourself, because I think that's also like the voice of the world. It's like, no, my value does not go down as I get older. It goes up.
I have more, I know more, you know, I've learned, I've experienced more, and I have, you know, more to give. I enjoy seeing younger people learn the things now that I'm just now learning, that, you know, that, you know, that excites me.
All of it being available now too. It's like we're learning as we go. Because even people who might have had a healthy, beautiful, amazing childhood, it's like there still might be stuff that they didn't get. And that's okay. And whenever you get it when you're meant to get it. So I think it's still embracing your journey and embracing yourself. So what advice would you give your younger self, knowing all that you know now?
Don't ignore the things that draw you. you know, there's certain things you like to do. Yeah. There's a reason why you like to do them. Study it, you know, go to school, because that's probably, because actually I went to school for business, for marketing.
Did you really? Okay.
But I'm a self-taught graphic designer and photographer.
Yeah, and photographer, right.
You know,
right,
and I ignored that in my young, you know, I thought becoming a designer meant that you knew that you have to know how to draw. I didn't know that that was a skill that you can learn. Yeah. You know, so I would just tell my younger self, you know, whatever you're drawn to, whatever you're curious about, pay attention to that. Seek what that is. Right. You know, because that's probably your calling. That's probably your purpose. So that's what I was just telling my younger self. Don't ignore the things that, you know, even if you think you don't have what it takes. Yeah. We live in an age now where you can learn to be anything you want to be overnight.
There's so many restrictions we place on ourselves, and I also would agree with that, because I think for me too, in college, I went for biology, but I remember taking a philosophy course because it was mandatory, like as an elective, and I was like, oh my God, I love this. And I remember literally one day, like walking across campus was like, but that's not a very practical degree. I need to go find a degree that makes more money, or like I need to stay where I'm at. We do, out of our own selves. It's like I was so interested and like I love that class, but it's like, oh no, you know, like it was some voice of reason that was trying to push me somewhere else, and it's like don't ignore it.
And I think that's why our relationship with God is so important, because you can learn to discern voices. Yes. Okay, is this God speaking, or is this, you know, the enemy trying to deter me, get me off track? But if I can save a younger Kizzy, you know, someone, you know, in their youth, don't ignore your inner voice. Learn to listen to what that is, and embrace it and follow that path. Yeah.
I think too, also when we get out of survival mode, because I definitely felt like I had to make certain decisions, and it's like, well, where did that even come from? You know,
for me, it was going to college, and where I went to college. I was like, girl, I should have went to LSU.
Right. Like, no, seriously, I was like, I should have went to an art school somewhere. It's like, there's so many different things. It's like, I could have been more in alignment this whole time, but it's okay.
It's okay. It is. You know, because where we are today, you know, it's meant for Evani and Kizzy to align at this moment.
Exactly. Exactly. I'm here for it. I'm here for it. Okay, so thank you so much for coming on to the show. I've really enjoyed this conversation. It's been amazing. I do this at the end of every show. I ask people for 3 truths or 3 pieces of wisdom that you would give the audience.
Well, you talked, when we talked earlier this week or last week, you talked about branding and confidence. And, you know, honestly, my first thought was like, oh, confidence. I don't have any confidence, but that's not true. No. Very confident. But I had a moment to think about this, like confidence and branding. What does that mean? And I didn't know you was going to ask these 3 truths, but I do have 3. Yeah. And I call them the 3 Ds. Okay. And so, in order to have confidence in branding, you need the 3 Ds. You need discipline. You need desires. Your desire. Okay. Yeah. And you need dependence. Dependence. And so discipline would mean, you know, when you're building your brand, be disciplined enough to know when to stop scrolling, stop binge watching TV, get up and move your body, eat something healthy, you know, all the things that will help us physically and mentally to do what we have to do, especially if you're like me, when you're balancing, you know, your full-time job and your professional side hustle. You can't eat what you want to eat. You can't go to bed late at night. You need to get the proper amount of rest. So your confidence comes when you implement these 3 Ds. So the first one would be discipline. And then the second one would be desire. I say desire / why. Like the things that you desire, why do you want them? So hold on to your desires. You know, for me, as a brand builder, you know, I'm now sitting in a position where I want to help women thrive. You know, surviving means I can pay my bills in my household, take care of my household. But thriving means I can help the next woman who may be a single mom, or she may be newly divorced and now she's down to 1 income, so she may need help with her light bill. You know, so you know, that is my why. You know, it moves from your household to someone else's household, you know, because you know what it's like to be in her shoes, his or her shoes.
Right.
So don't forget your desires and don't forget your whys while you're doing what you're doing. And then the last one will be dependence. You know, depend on God.
Yeah.
You know, that's the last but not least. You know, depend on Him, because you know we don't have all the answers, and so when you depend on Him, you know the things, you know, not, you know, just in building your brand. Trying to build a brand is not easy.
No, it's not.
So you're going to need strength outside of yourself to do the job. You know, there's going to be 2 a.m. mornings.
Yes.
You know, and so you can't rely on yourself for that. You have to have, you know, be disciplined.
Yeah.
You know, remember why you're doing what you're doing, and you know, first and foremost, you know, depend on God to give you guidance while you're going through brand building. To build confidence not only in yourself but in your brand. You know, have those D's in place.
Yeah.
Discipline, desires, independence.
Discipline, desires, and dependence. That is powerful. I will take that with me. I'll take it. Y'all can take it too, but I'm taking it personally, applying it to my lifestyle. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming. Yeah. I'm so glad you got the opportunity to come, because I was like, oh, Kizzy, like I want to have her on the show. I was like, who should I have on the show next? And I was like, Kizzy popped up in the spirit. I was like, let's do it with Kizzy, brand developer. She's amazing. I highly recommend. And again, okay, where can we go to support you and your businesses?
So KizzyMichelle.com or developer.com. I'm also on Instagram as Kizzy Michelle Photography or developer at developer. So you can find my handles there.
So thank you for coming. I'm really excited you got to come. And I will see you guys in the next episode of Elevate with Evani. So yeah. Bye guys.